Hello friends, and welcome to this week's vlog. And whoo, Nelly, it's a hot one. I have been searching throughout my entire wardrobe for the lightest and least amount of clothing I could possibly wear. We have been experiencing now, and today is Saturday, I think we are on our 4th day in a row with feels like temps of 108 degrees to 112 degrees Fahrenheit. It is downright oppressive. I would relate this sort of weather, I just feel like there's nothing we can do outside recreationally or to have fun and to be safe, because the heat is truly dangerous. My credit, 1000% of my credit goes to any of you folks out there that work outside for your career. I truly tip my hat off to you. But we've done a few things that have been fun this week. Chief among them was a belated celebration for my birthday. My birthday was last Saturday. It was August 8th. And so on this past Wednesday, so a week ago from today that you're watching this video, Mr. Lyons took me to Monsieur Paul's, that's it. And that is the elite French restaurant in Epcot, located at Walt Disney World. And it is above the French restaurant Chefs de France in the France Pavilion over there in Epcot. And we had a 7-course meal, and it was truly exquisite. I had every intention of sort of documenting all 7 courses, but alas, I only have this one clip here of Mr. Lyons enjoying some caviar that we ordered. So please enjoy that. So naturally, because we were going to Monsieur Paul's, which is clearly a more elevated restaurant, if not the most elevated restaurant in Epcot alone, but truly in most of the Walt Disney parks and resorts, excluding probably Victoria and Albert's, which definitely has a stricter dress code. There's somewhat of a dress code, but I think the understanding when you're in the parks is that you are in the parks, thereby dressing comfortably. And while of course I knew I wanted to look lovely for dinner, I knew that just from the parking lot to the restaurant was at least a 1.5 mile walk from parking lot World Showcase at the very least. But you know, Mr. Lyons really wanted to experience some of the attractions. We had every intention of doing a few of them. We only got to do Guardians of the Galaxy, but I thought it was hilarious because I am going to insert that picture right here. And that is that I went in a dress and I went in comfortable walking shoes. If you may recall those Vivea white ballet flats that I walk around in, I've done weddings in them and all of that. It is, they're clearly my most comfortable walking shoes, but even in this heat, it was hard because just the heat was penetrating through the shoe. And I'm used to wearing sneakers. I'm used to wearing my Vivo Barefoots over there, which have obviously a thicker sole. So that was a challenge, and I joke with that picture at Guardians and being at Epcot, I've never looked lovelier in Epcot, right? That I had my sundress on and the shoes and everything, and you know, everyone's in pretty much like what you would wear to run a marathon in. But it was really, really great fun, a special evening out, but truly a toasty one. So today is Saturday, and we are just looking for ways to occupy our time, be productive, and have fun while enjoying air conditioning. So I think that I am going to do some baking, and never in my life did I think I would be a baker, but here we are. This month marks 1 full year that I have been baking sourdough, and I really, really, truly love and enjoy it. I find it therapeutic. I also love the fact that we have not had to buy bread in a year, and that's really quite lovely as well. So the sourdough starter, Marge, who's my OG, the original one, Marge, because she's large and in charge, she has been thriving in these temperatures. So she's been on the countertop, and she's been the first time ever that she's actually outgrown the jar that she's in. So I'm making 2 loaves, and I'm going to attempt to make my first sourdough chocolate chip cookies. I've always wanted to do something with the discard from my sourdough after making my dough for my sourdough bread. And I think this is the weekend to do it. I've got nothing else to do. I cannot be outside. I had every intention of preparing the garden beds, but it's just too hot. But alas, I still want to do some planting for the seeds I will be planting forthcoming. So yeah, and we are going to see the Odyssey this afternoon. I am very excited. We wanted to see it when it first came out, but I think it first came out when we were in Michigan, and then we were on our way back to Orlando. Then we got the puppy, and so we've just sort of been all hands on deck in here. But he's doing great. He's been thriving in the crate, doing well. We're on day 4 in a row with no accidents in the house. So I think we're doing great there. So yes, let's go prepare some sourdough, and let's see if we can also make some sourdough chocolate chip cookies. Update. He is doing really well. He's been in his crate there for about 90 minutes now, and we had a pillow inside the crate when we first brought him home. Look at him. I don't know if you can see, he's wagging his tail. We had a pillow in there to make it cozy. You know, they love dens, and we had to remove the pillow because we noticed that our little boy has grown. But I kind of put him in here when I need to get things done around the house, also because he loves to terrorize my poor Billy. Billy is his height, and he just thinks he's his playmate, and Billy is our oldest and wants nothing to do with it. Part of some of my indoor activities that I plan to do today and this weekend is this. I'm going to deconstruct and rearrange this birthday arrangement that Mr. Lyons had sent to me on my birthday. Now, don't judge the arrangement by the way it looks now, because it was truly the most beautiful arrangement I've ever received. But I'm going to take this. You can see a lot of this is crispy here, but I'm going to deconstruct it and take the healthy flowers, clearly discard the unusable flowers, and then make a new arrangement out of those. So that will be nice, air-conditioned fun. And then part of why I waited this weekend to actually start talking to you was that I developed a sty in my eye, and some of it is still here on the upper lid, and today's like the first day I've actually put on even a little bit of mascara to look somewhat alive. I am going to clean my makeup brushes. I don't even want to admit to you, but I will, that I meant to clean these before I left for Michigan. And I left for Michigan in May, and then I've been home for a couple weeks and I've been still using these. I know I washed my makeup brushes in Michigan. So anyway, I just wondered if maybe that contributed to it, because I had never gotten a sty before. The first time I ever got a sty was in 2020, and it was during COVID, and I attributed that to a great deal of stress. I was actually en route and in Hawaii, where my brother had an accident, which sort of led us to a cancer discovery that he had, which is a multiple myeloma throughout his body. There's just a lot going on. Clearly, all of my energy, my heart and soul was going out to my brother, and I think it manifested itself into a big sty, and then it turned to the other eye sty. And so we were stuck in Hawaii for a little bit, and then we got him back to where he was living at the time, which was Seattle. And these two places, Hawaii and Seattle, were where COVID was blowing up, very beginning of COVID. And so I got another one in Seattle and got home. So I have not had a sty or any problems like that ever since. So I was wondering, like, I don't feel particularly stressed out at the moment, or have been. So I just wonder if it's my makeup brushes. Anyway, it's a good habit to clean your makeup brushes regularly. This is not only a reminder to you, but a reminder to me. So I'm going to get started on this as well. We've got dough going, and going to try to enjoy what I can inside. You know, we really can only put our air conditioning to 77 degrees here. I know it sometimes it feels adequate and sometimes it feels very warm. Right now it feels very warm. But first of all, I'm extremely grateful to even have air conditioning. You know, there's a heat wave going on everywhere, including Europe, and I know in most places in Europe, they don't even have air conditioning, with the exception of perhaps some few newer hotels over there. So I cannot even imagine. In fact, I have a client that lives in London, and when we were talking, she was like, let's see how it goes tonight to sleep, because it's just so hot over there. Also, they don't recommend us turning our temperature, our thermostats down any lower. Our aircon unit is a relatively new one, but we can hear it struggling. We can hear it almost howling when we try to turn it down. So I just don't want to tempt fate. I don't want AC repair here. I want AC any which way I can get it. So I'm going to be conservative with that, and just find some more jobs that I can do around the house to help reset for the week ahead. But I'm kind of excited. I think if you know me, you know I love nothing more than to be house trapped. So we'll see. I don't even know if going in the pool will offer relief, because the sun will be beating down, but Mr. Lyons loves jumping in the pool, and he loves for me to join him. So we will see. There wasn't a whole lot to pick, but what I have is great. And so before I cut these down to fit the vase perfectly, I love this green vase here. I wanted to sort of arrange it the way I would like to see it, and now I'm going to cut it to size and see how that looks. Give it a nice little twist as they do. Oh yeah, I really like the way this came out. So pretty, and I think I may put this in our guest bathroom. 3 lovely arrangements. This one will go on my desk in my office. This one on a tray in our family room, right in front of, on the coffee table. And I showed you the one that's going in our guest bathroom. What was your request for slicing the bread, is to get your knife in? I bake the bread. Mr. Lyons gets to slice it. I do love this slicer, because before, what would the bread turn out? It would be all different widths and craziness. How does it look on the inside?
Looks good.
How does it smell?
It smells great.
We have a little audience. Oh, this is looking good. That's a little dense, actually.
What'd you call me?
All right, there's some pockets now. I'm feeling better. Good morning, friends. Well, today is Sunday, and yes, we are still in the midst of an epic heat wave. Today's feels like temperature is also between 108 and 112 degrees, and that just doesn't even sound natural. Anyway, I found another sort of light dress to wear just to keep myself cool. I am busy in the kitchen. You may recall, if you saw last week's video, I was on my proverbial soapbox lamenting a bit about sort of what I'm seeing around town and online which is rushing autumn, rushing the seasons. Now, listen, if it has not become abundantly clear, I am not thrilled with the temperatures we are experiencing now, but I know it is what it is. Parts of me definitely wishes that we were still in Michigan enjoying those milder temperatures, but we are here, and I am determined to still enjoy summer for what it is. So I did read something over on Substack, which, by the way, Substack is becoming a new sort of love for me. I don't know if any of you are on there. If you are, let me know in the comments. This way, if you write for Substack yourself, I would love to read whatever you're posting and follow you, or if you have recommendations of people that you like to follow on Substack, I of course would love to hear about that as well. I've started to dabble in Substack a little bit with writing, and that page is called Elevate the Everyday, and I will leave that link in the show notes as well. But yes, thoroughly enjoying Substack. But what I was getting at was I was on Substack, I believe at some point this week, and I read sort of like this ode to summer, and something to the effects of, and I'm paraphrasing, that August is the Sunday of summer. And so I thought to myself, that's so beautiful. And to me, my favorite day of the week is pretty much Sunday. I love Sundays because I get to reset. It's the brand new start of a new week. It seems like a fresh start, starting anew. And so I feel like that's such a great way to honor the month of August. I think that if we consider it the Sunday or the Sundays of summer, then we should enjoy and rest into it and just appreciate it for what it is. Now, don't get me wrong. I just do want to make it abundantly clear. I absolutely love autumn. Having grown up in New York City, my favorite season was always autumn. We just don't quite get to experience it the way that maybe you do wherever you live, or the way I did in New York. But we still have it and we still enjoy it, and I still enjoy decorating seasonally for August. And so will I wait for the absolute, fall season to arrive, which I believe is September 21st? I don't know. Probably somewhere in mid-September, I'll start planting my mums like the rest of you. I want to be realistic, and again, I want to savor the seasons while I'm in the present season. So enough about that. I thought some ways to honor the Sundays of summer, meaning August, was to sort of embrace some recipes. So one way we decided to sort of beat the heat and stay inside today was that we invited good friends of ours, a couple, Todd and Jane Johnson, and they are our traveling friends, our traveling couple. So 4 years ago, we had our epic vacation to South Africa together. That was our first foray into traveling with one another. And I mean, what a way to go. I mean, it was baptism by fire, but I think we hadn't even quite departed. And we were in the airport lounge, and we just knew we were going to be in for like a treat with one another, and a treat we did have, and we just traveled so well together. And so we also thoroughly enjoyed their company. We love going out to restaurants with them and everything, but we are having them over because we would like to plan and talk about our next trip. We are going together to England in March. Yes, I believe it's March in 2027. And we have been to London together just before the King's coronation, like just before. And it was so fantastic to be there during that time because London was just bedecked in all of its regalia. It was so beautiful, and the energy was so electric. And while we will do perhaps a couple of days in London, there is an exhibit there that I want to see with the Queen's wardrobe and some articles, some garments of hers. We do want to go to the Cotswolds, at least Jane and I do. So we want to research that. The gentlemen want to take on a football match, meaning soccer, for all of us Americans here. And there is a concert that I think the boys are going to go see. And likely Jane and I, maybe that's the day we plan our museum trip. We love to do museums together, Jane and I. So sometimes we will divide and conquer, but then as couples, we just love to travel together. But having them over tonight, we are embracing some summer recipes. So I think we're going to make like a summer signature cocktail, which is kind of like a limoncello spritz or like a lemon drop. I don't know. I just know that way back 100 years ago, Mr. Lyons used to be a bartender. I mentioned this a little while ago to him and he's like, I got it. I know exactly what to do. So I think that as soon as they walk through the door, we'll just have one of these cocktails together and then move on to our respective whatever we want to drink for the rest of the evening. And then Mr. Lyons is going to make linguine with white clam sauce, which I think is a good summer pasta recipe. It actually happens to be my favorite pasta recipe anywhere and everywhere. My favorite, obviously, was when I was in Italy, oh gosh, over 20 years ago. I cannot wait to go back to Italy. But vongole, as it is my favorite pasta. So just with the lemon and the parsley and all that feels very summer and very indulgent. So I'm having fun with it. I'm setting the table. I have a bowl of lemons on there. I'll show you how things are shaping up. I have some of those sourdough cookies, the first batch in the oven right now. I had to let it get to room temperature before I put it in. Here is the dough. It's yielding a lot more than I bargained for, so everyone gets cookies this week. But yeah, I'm excited that we found a way to do something to beat the heat this week. Okay, well, it's broad daylight right now. It is like 1:30 in the afternoon, so it's a little bit brighter than it will be when we eat, but you kind of get the gist here. I've set the table. I'm going to lay some forks out. We're just having the pasta, so there's really no need to put a knife out. That's the etiquette coach in me here. And, fun fact, you do not eat pasta with a spoon, although Mr. Lyons loves to do that, so I'll likely have to put one there for him, but you don't eat pasta with a spoon. And you just do it with a fork. That is as they do in Italy. And so we'll do that. I'm going to make a salad. And then I think we're going to do the cookies a la mode with some vanilla ice cream. And there's my bowl of lemons. Right now I have the water glasses set. And it's looking lovely. Ooh, I see Mr. Lyons made some good selections. First batch of cookies I'm just taking out of the oven. I found, at least with my oven, I had to cook it a little longer than as directed. But what I like to do with my cookies, and because I don't tend to really like cookies, is I like to sprinkle some Maldon salt right on top just to give it that lovely hit, especially while it's warm. It can kind of cling to the cookie a little bit more, and that always gives it a really good bite. Mr. Lyons loves that as well. These fun crockery things for the salt and pepper, only because I was just speaking of our wonderful trip to South Africa. We actually bought these while we were in South Africa, and we have some coarse pepper in one, and we have the Maldon salt in the other. So I'm getting these out here. They say sourdough cookies are supposed to, from a texture standpoint, taste a little bit more cake-like. We'll see about that. I like my cookies a little more well done and crunchy, so you can see I kind of let them get a little bit more well done back here. I'm going to put the next batch in, and while I do, I thought I would speak a little bit to the Odyssey and that movie, which was absolutely epic. That movie, I will say, it would help if you could brush up on sort of your Greek mythology, and I don't mean it from like a complete sort of cerebral sense, but if you didn't read it in high school or anything like that, or just get a sense for who those characters may be, you can certainly pretty much follow no matter what. It's just remarkable what Chris Nolan was able to do without CGI. Now that I just reflect back on the movie, I cannot even fathom how it was done. And then as I was going to sleep last night, I really went down the rabbit hole and I was searching all things about the Odyssey and the making of the Odyssey, and that in and of itself was an odyssey. Anyway, I thought Anne Hathaway, Matt Damon, the performances were unbelievable. I had some questions after that I was texting my daughter Sarah about, which she helped to answer, but then of course as I was doing my research later in the evening, a lot of things became more clear. This is a movie I will certainly see again. For a movie that was nearly 3 hours long, I feel like I was not restless. It was just such a good movie, so highly. That we are absolutely all but done and our guests are imminent, right? They're on the road. Here are some fresh clams that my husband will put on the pasta. All the ingredients here. That is the clam sauce, so to speak. Excuse me, Zoe. Zoe's supervising. And here he made a lemon drop spritz. Yeah. Lemon drop spritz. He made a batch there, so that will be just sort of our welcome cocktail. We're sugaring some lemons, topped it off with some limoncello LaCroix. Highly recommend. This can be a lovely mocktail as well. And that's just some homemade salad dressing I made, and we have our salad already prepared. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and we are good to go. Okay, friends, well, our guests will be arriving here in about 15 minutes. I just checked everything. The table is set, salad is made, my husband's already made the pasta, the ice cream sandwiches are in the freezer. This was a really fun way to spend Sunday indoors while also cooking together, implementing summer ingredients and recipes. That sort of dip you saw there was an appetizer I had ordered at our club this weekend, and there was so much and I ate with my eyes, so we just reimagined it and we're serving it again. It's whipped feta and ricotta cheese with like a basil aioli in there and some lemon, and it's delicious. So we're serving it with some fruit and baguettes and crackers, some cheese, and we're gonna make some plans for our trip to England. So if you are still embracing summer, please let me know in the comments. What ingredients are you using? What sort of activities are you doing? Let's savor it together. And it just occurred to me, my husband was chatting with me and joking with me as we were cooking and sort of cleaning the kitchen together a little while ago. And he said, does everyone just know me as Mr. Lyons? And I thought, yes. So if you happen to know, and no cheating if you know us in our personal lives, but if you happen to know my husband's first name, please put it in the comments. But I wish you all a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's summer video. Bye-bye.